the average American on the average day commits 3 felonies every day. If they decide they want you, they don't like your politics, they can get your metadata, find crimes that they can charge you with, and ruin your life. And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself.
What is it that you know about the nature of the reality that we all live in that the average person really has no idea about?
Number one, John Kennedy called the CIA the best and the brightest. And we're not. We're just average people. And we're not as smart as we think we are. We're not as worldly as we think we are. We've pretty much missed every major global development since 1947, from the rise of the Berlin Wall to the fall of the Berlin Wall to the fall of the Soviet Union to the Suez Crisis and the Iran hostage crisis and 9/11 and everything else. We missed it. We're really good at day-to-day, updates for the president. We're really good at recruiting minor hangers-on around terrorist groups, but the big picture items, we're just not good at it. Number two, until 9/11, it was against the law, like in stone, to spy on Americans. And now billions of dollars are spent spying on Americans, whether it's NSA or CIA or FBI or intelligence community contractors. Nothing is secret. Nothing. And to make matters worse, let's say maybe you did do something that law enforcement might be interested in. They don't need a warrant anymore. They don't need to go to a judge and say, well, we have reason to believe, blah, blah, blah. All they have to do is just buy your metadata because it's for sale. Just go to the carrier. Just buy it. They don't need a judge's order to do that. It's all out there. We've made ourselves vulnerable. All of our lives are out there, whether it's on Facebook or X or Insta or whatever. If they really want to get you, they're going to get you, which reminds me of a book written by Dr. Harvey Silverglate. He's a professor of law at Harvard, and it's called 3 Felonies a Day. And he argues in this book that we are so over-criminalized, so over-regulated in this country that the average American on the average day going about his or her normal business commits 3 felonies every day. You may not mean to, but you do every day. So if they decide they want you, they don't like your politics, they can get your metadata, they can go through that metadata, find crimes that they can charge you with, and ruin your life. And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself.
One of the most powerful things that anyone can do, believe it or not, is to have someone each morning that they text good morning to. I know this is going to sound trivial, corny, and I'm happy to take the heat on this one. Find a friend, and in particular, men who lack friends completely, because there's a greater percentage of those, although it's certainly the case that many young women and women are lonely as well. Find someone who you can communicate with each morning. Just a good morning text. Seriously, this is one of the most powerful things you can do to check in with another member of your species each morning. You don't have to have a conversation. You don't have to talk about what you're going to do each day. Knowing that someone else out there in the world cares about us each morning when we wake up makes us feel incredibly part of the tribe.
This sounds like a crazy fucking thing to say on a podcast in 2025. How do we start a conversation with another human being?
I've got a favorite technique that I use. And it requires courage. And it's a simple game called High-Low Buffalo. High is something that's going great for you. Low, something that's not so great for you. Buffalo, something interesting about you.
Do you say it to them that we're going to do High-Low Buffalo?
I play this game with people I meet that I want to connect with.
Okay.
Say you've been working with Susan for 12 months. Just sit down with Susan and go, Susan, I know this is a bit crazy. Listen to a guy named Vin on Diary of a CEO. He said, if you want to connect with someone and you care about the connection, play a game called High-Low Buffalo. Are you game? Play. I'm giving 3 opportunities for a conversation to spark, but in actuality, there are 6 threads here. Because there's 3 from me, there's 3 from you. You just gave me 3 things. I've got 3 threads to choose from.
If you are awake from the hours of 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. for 2 hours between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. for 2 days per week for 25 days of the year, you qualify as a kind of card-carrying shift worker, and you likely have significant circadian disruption.
Which means that I have...
You are at risk for some of the, and it's not going to happen tomorrow, but if you continue on that pattern that I just described, you are putting yourself at increased risk for cancer and cardiovascular disease, metabolic dysfunction. You can have trouble having children. It impacts fertility, mental health, psychiatric disorders. There isn't a disease or disorder that circadian disruption doesn't touch. We just have to understand that our relationship to light will directly influence the trajectory of our health. There's just no question about that.
If you don't get in the game of home ownership and you rent in your 20s and you rent in your 30s, you're going to turn around in your 40s and having not built any net worth.
Am I not better off renting and investing in the stock market versus buying a house?
I want to bust this myth, because what happens is people come on and they go, the stock market over the last 20 years has averaged over 10% annually. People go, the returns are better in the stock market than in real estate. Yeah, but that's not apples to apple comparison. Why? When you buy a piece of real estate, when you buy a home, people don't typically pay cash for their first house. They put down 20% and they borrow the other 80%. Take a $200,000 home. You put 40 grand in. $200,000 home goes to $400,000 in 10 years. This has happened to so many people in the last 5 years. So they've made $200,000 in profit. They didn't put in $200,000, they put in 40. So they got a 5 times return on their down payment. They go to sell their house, they don't pay taxes on the gain. Because when you own a home, at least in the United States, you own a home for over 2 years, if you're single, you get $250,000 in tax-free gains. If you're married, you get over $500,000 in tax-free gains. You get tax deductions on the mortgages. So what happens is people come here and they go, you know what? You shouldn't be tied down. You need to be flexible when you're young. You don't want to have the responsibility. And you should take the extra money and you should put it in a mutual fund. And you know what happens in the real world, Stephen? People don't do that. They rent an apartment that's nicer than what they can afford, and they spend all their money. And then they turn around in their mid-30s and they have no equity because they haven't bought anything, and they also haven't saved money. It is an absolute freaking myth that people take this extra money that they could have used to buy a house and they're going to put it in the stock market. They don't do that. Certain influencers that are out there promoting the idea that renting is better than buying a home. And when you look into why do these people promote it, either A, it's a shtick because it gets them clicks on the thumbnail. B, they're selling something else. They're trying to get you to invest in their real estate. They're selling you in a coaching program. They're selling you, to come to their live event. But I'm telling you, when you look at average Americans, I'm talking about ordinary Americans, when you look at where their wealth is, it's in home equity and it's in the stock market.